excited to have you guys with us here today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jen T with ARINGO. Excited to talk about specialized masters today. So if you're considering what you want to do after you graduate from your bachelor's degree or maybe your mid-career, this is a really great segment for you to kind of tune into. So before we get started, a couple of housekeeping things. One, don't forget to like and share this session. Give me a couple of thumbs up during the session. And I am here and able to answer any questions you might have. So use the chat or comments to be able to kind of ask anything you might have questions about, and I'll try to get to them as we're in the session. Otherwise, I'll get to them at the end. And then beyond that, we're excited to have you today. All right, so again, I'm Jen T, and today we are going to be talking about the top 5 master's programs you need to know about right now. These are the hottest ones. Okay, before we jump into what the hottest ones are, we're going to talk about what it is. So a specialized master's is kind of what these are, right? Like they are 1-year programs. And so we're going to talk about what they are, what you need to look for in a specialized master's. What ones we're going to be talking about are Master's in Management, or a MEM, finance, data analytics, marketing, accounting, and then we'll kind of do a really quick touch on some other ones that you can consider if you're kind of in a niche area and you're like, oh, but I really want to know more or learn more. But the ones we talked about today don't really make sense for me. So we can talk about what other options are out there. All right, so specialized master's programs, or SPMs, they are graduate level programs, and so they allow you to take a deeper dive into a specific section of a sector or a function, right? So if you hear about like a specific MBA program that's really well known for this type of function or sector, then likely they have a specialized master's in that area. So if you're like, I don't think I want the full MBA, but I want, to learn finance at Wharton, or real estate at Columbia, or hospitality at Cornell, this is where this kind of comes in, is that you can do these specialized masters. So they do more of a broad understanding of business, and then that really focused, drilled down, concentrated courses for that specific specialized master's. And then you can find these at top MBA programs across the globe. So you don't have to go just to US, Europe, everywhere. Almost every single business school has some sort of specialized master's program. And then the benefits. So usually they require little to no work experience. There are caveats to that. They do, again, give you that drilled down experience so that you can continue to move up within your sector or function. So that's fantastic. It gives you that career focus and drive so you can continue to move up maybe the management level as well. And then, of course, there's an ROI. So you usually will have an increased salary or increased salary potential if you haven't started working yet. And then you're going to have this network of people who are in your area, and you can, reach out to them for jobs, for understanding of what's going on, market trends, etc., throughout the rest of your career. And then the other big thing is that you can go to a tier 1 business school, not necessarily have to go through the ultra competitive side of an MBA admissions, but get to go for a master's degree and get that name brand behind you and the recognition within the field. All right, so who needs a specialized master's program? So I would say that a lot of recent alumni or recent grads would probably benefit very well, because this is a quick way to scale up your career, especially if you're coming from a non-traditional background and maybe you are, maybe you have an art history degree. What are you going to do with that? I don't know, but doing a master's could absolutely help you in that next step and give you a little bit of direction so that when you're looking at the I want to say job ads, like that makes me feel really old. But when you're looking at LinkedIn or other job boards, you can kind of have a little bit of direction, give the employer insight as to what knowledge or understanding you have about the business, and then be able to go from there. The other thing is, like, if you're a career changer, you're like, I've really enjoyed working at the bank on like this level, like working on personal finance, but I really want to make that big move. I want to go to corporate finance, or I want to go to, investment banking. This is one of those opportunities to kind of help you with that next step. So also those who are looking for that progression in their career. And then let's say again, like maybe you have a degree in art history and you've been working in a museum, but you don't have any leadership or management experience. The master's degree can help you get to that more management level, senior level, so that you can actually start climbing the ladder to get more to accelerate your career. All right. Please don't forget, if you have questions, I am here in the chat watching. Okay, so specialized master's programs. So the general admissions requirements are typically going to be one of those. It's going to be a bachelor's degree, right? Like almost every single graduate program is going to require that bachelor's degree, 3 or 4 years equivalent. And each school has their own rules to that, but just know that they do require a degree. Some of them will require 0 to 3 years of work experience. So again, some of them, they're not going to need any work experience. Others may require 2 or more years. And then usually there's a GMAT GRE component to it. The quantitative ones are going to be the ones that are going to be most stringent. Finance, business analytics, like those courses, they are going to want you to really have that strong quantitative background and analysis. So, you might have to take the GMAT or GRE. Others could have waivers, so you won't have to take it. And then, excuse me, if you're an international candidate, there could potentially be a requirement for the English proficiency. All right, so Big Mike joined us, and he said, is Yale a top program to pivot into consulting or Booth? So I would say that depending on what kind of consulting you're wanting to do, Yale can be a great option. So Yale, obviously known a little bit more for social impact. So if that's like your area of expertise, like where you're wanting to be, then they might have the better network and kind of connections for you. Otherwise, Booth is pretty well known for consulting as well. So depending on the program, it can definitely be an option. All right, so we'll get started. A strategy consulting MBB. Yeah, I mean, I think that MBB is still going to recruit at Yale. I think that they just might have heavier recruitment from Booth, again, depending on which master's degree you're looking at. So we're going to start talking first about the master's in management degree. So it is going to be that broad, lower level business acumen that you're going to need to be able to grow into management in any field. And so let's say, again, you have a more non-traditional background, maybe a political science degree, art degree, something like that. Like me, maybe I have a speech communications degree. And so getting a master's in management gives you that strong foundational leadership to get you going. And so top schools that you can see here are going to be HEC Paris, really well known, LSE, ESSEC, INSEAD, definitely one of the top ones, and obviously St. Gallen is always on the list, and London Business School. In the US, you can look at Kellogg, Ross, Duke, MIT, some of those top business names that you hear associated with highest rankings, and a couple of Ivies in the mix as well. Average GMAT score again, like I'm using the GMAT scores that are currently posted by the schools, which is the old GMAT. So, I mean, add 50 points and we're kind of in the area of what would be for the GMAT Focus Edition. So looking closer to that on the new one 705 and higher as their average. But again, it's an average, so there can be higher and lower. The other thing that's really great about a specialized master's is that business schools are not ranked based on their specialized masters for their overall ranking. And so they can have a little give and take when it comes to years of work experience, test scores, those types of things. They are ranked based on specialized masters as well, but like it's for the specialized masters, not necessarily for the entire business school. So kind of take that into account. And then return on investment. So a master's in management can be a really strong ROI, and I will show you why. The average ROI, show you why. Yeah. So the average salary is around 80,000 to 120,000. And again, that's a pretty big range, but it is, depending. The great thing about a master's in management is you could really go anywhere. So, depending on which field you go in, it could be more lucrative. So, there's high earning potential there. So you can go into management consulting, you become an analyst, a project manager, a product manager, operations. Also, you can work for companies like the MBB, like Mike was talking about, tech companies, some of the banks or financial institutions, or even maybe go into the startup industry. So there's the best part about a master's in management, again, is it's open to so many different things, almost like an MBA, but for somebody with a little less years of work experience or no years of work experience, so that you can really have this open mind. So again, designed for recent grads. So some schools will have a couple of caveats about admissions, that you have to have less than 3 or 4 years of work experience, maybe potentially. And they were really started or really kind of kicked off in Europe. And we've definitely seen that kind of continue to that trend to come over here, and blossom in the US. And then the other thing that is really cool is that if you're thinking, I want to get an MBA, but I don't want to do like 2 different masters, like it's a lot of money. So some of these schools have started offering pathways. If you do your master's in management now, in 2 to 3 years, you can apply and do an accelerated version of their MBA program a little bit later. So you do the more general master's in management now, and then later on, you could go in much deeper into a specific concentration, marketing. You could go into supply chain, whatever it might be. There's an opportunity for you to, join that MBA program. Big Mike, what is the best way to get off the wait list at a top school for a master's in management? Is it the same as an MBA? I would say that this is going to vary for everyone, but master's in management, one of the bigger things that they're going to be looking for typically is going to be your leadership skills and your potential. So if you haven't shown as much of that in your application, think about other scenarios where you can really bring that up. Or maybe they're looking for your academic readiness for the program. That might mean that you have to retake the GMAT or GRE. So, it really is a case by case situation, but there definitely are ways to get off the wait list. And I'm happy to help Big Mike. My email address and link are in the chat. So go ahead and send me an email. We can always chat offline too. All right, so that's master's in management. We'll move on to our next one, but if you guys have questions, please let me know. All right, master's in finance. This is, again, one of the most popular programs right now. Is most people are looking for this finance degree because they want to move into investment banking, those types of things. They have some really big dreams, and a master's in finance can get them there. Now, again, the categories that I'm using, like a master's in management or a master's in finance, is kind of a generic term because every MBA or every business school has a different nomenclature for each one of the names. But it could be like a master's in quantitative finance. It could be a master's in science and computational finance. Like there's like many different names for just a generic master's in finance, but also several different variations. So if finance is your area, definitely look and to see which ones are top ranked. but they'll also show you those different options that could change a little bit about your career outcome or your specialty. All right, so a master's in finance will give you understanding of financial modeling, risk management, investment analysis, and those financial markets. And you're going to develop skills in quantitative areas, analytical problem solving, and you're going to help people with solving their problems on that professional level. So top schools that you can consider: MIT, UPenn, Wharton, LBS, obviously, Booth, Stanford. I mean, there's a lot. So there's not a shortage of options. I think that we've had quite a few people do. There's a new MS in finance from Columbia, as well as an interesting one at McCombs. Like, again, you have a lot of really great options to choose from when it comes to a master's in finance. Just because they're listed here doesn't mean that they're not amazing. Average GMAT score is going to be a little bit higher here because, again, they want to make sure you're ready for the classes and able to take on the greatness, the quantitative side of the program. So you'll see that it's also more competitive, right? More people are applying. So the GMAT score needs to be more competitive to, be able to, show who you are and your readiness for the program and that you're special in one way or another. All right. So obviously this has a really strong ROI with a wide range of different careers that you can choose. The average salary when you're graduating is around 90 to 150,000. Yeah, so a bit bigger of a leap there. And then usually there are some sort of signing bonuses. So I didn't have them included in here, but definitely something for you to consider as well. Potential careers that you can be taking: investment banking, financial analyst, portfolio manager, hedge funds, corporate finance. And so you could be working like for Goldman, JP Morgan. You could also be working for BlackRock, Fidelity, or even private equity firms. So you have a big range of career options, even within the finance sector, that you can kind of decide which path really fits what you're wanting to do. And there's back of office, front of office, like all these other fun things. So depending on what you're really into or, who you want to interact with on a daily basis, can definitely, there's a lot of options there. So usually a master's in finance is open to both current financial professionals and people who are looking to make a shift. The coursework can count towards like your CFA and quite a few other different certifications in the financial side of things. And there are some degrees, and I would, kind of put this out there, that the master's in finance at LBS does require those 2 years of work experience before you can go into their finance program, whereas maybe LSE doesn't or MIT doesn't. So just keep that in mind. Again, like every school has a bit of a different nuance for these specialized masters. So make sure that you're checking on that before you take the big dive and start applying. All right. Our next topic is masters in data analytics. So this could also be business analytics. Again, like a lot of different names here that we can use. And this is going to help students with leveraging data and business insights, using analysis, modeling for business decision making. And this is a pivotal key. I don't even know how to emphasize it even more. This is one of the most highly sought after skills that employers are looking for today. And you will see this baked into every top MBA program across the globe. The employers really want to see that you can see the data, read the story. But beyond that, there are experts who really know how to dive in and manipulate data to be able to show different dynamics that are going on, aggregate it, and everything that you can need to do. So if this is you and you're like, this is my jam, then top schools for you would be MIT, McCombs, Tepper, Stern, Berkeley Haas, and again, it's not limited to, but those are some really great schools to think about. And again, the GMAT score a little bit higher, 680 to 720, closer to that 725 as the lower end for the Focus Edition. And then these roles do tend to have a high ROI, with average salary starting around 85,000 to 130,000. So it's impressive there. Things that you can become as a data scientist, a business analyst, an analytics manager, data analyst, consultant. I've met a couple of people who do like spatial consulting, which is so cool. But it's another one of these kind of specialty sciences within data analytics where you help companies decide how many people need to be in an office, what kind of office space they can be at, or like how that office space can work for them and maximize their like square footage to productivity, etc. So really cool things that you can definitely do in this area. You can work for tech companies, consulting firms, financial institutions, healthcare companies. Everybody has data. And so, there's definitely a role for data analytics across the board. So, again, like this gives you kind of the ability to go whatever direction you want, and continue accelerate in your career. All right, next one is going to be a master's in marketing. So marketing is obviously one of those top programs that a lot of people seek. And they're like, oh my gosh, I really want to do marketing. I really enjoyed it. Or I want to do product management. Marketing is kind of like that counterbalance of like, this is, the information that you need to become a product manager potentially, depending on which side you're going to be on. But a master's in marketing will be giving you that experience on our understanding of the marketing strategy, what consumers are doing and how to predict the behavior and how to react to it, market research, and then also that brand management. Schools that are well known for this, obviously Kellogg is one of the number one schools, Wharton, MIT, Haas, Booth, these are the schools to kind of check out first. GMAT score, a little bit lower. And there potentially are some schools that actually have waivers for the master's in marketing. There is a quantitative side to it, but it's not the primary function that you're going to have a highly quantitative background, really high GMAT score to be able to understand the data, or how to compute it. Anushka, are these GMAT focused average scores you've been mentioning? So going back to this again, these are the scores that are posted up for these schools right now. So it is the old GMAT scores. So if we add about 50 points, we're looking at close to that 705 is the lower end of the GMAT focus average GRE score, up to 755-ish. Schools will start to report that GMAT focus. Some of them will start it this year, and then officially next year I'll say that next year probably will be the more official year where they actually transition fully to the GMAT focus scores. Okay, Anushka, one more question. Also, how about impact sector and segues into through these or any other courses? I'm not 100% sure what the question is here. So Anusha, if you can clarify, I am happy to answer more about that. Okay, so master's in marketing, the average salary is between 70,000 and 110,000, a little bit lower, but again, you're getting in at the ground level and able to grow really quickly and move into brand management, product manager, marketing analysis, digital marketing, market research, and you can work for consumer products and goods companies, as well as tech companies, advertising agencies. Again, it is a wide variety of companies that you can work for because almost every company needs some sort of marketing analysis or professional to help them with their gaining their spot in the market. So they do also sometimes offer the ability to specialize in like digital marketing, brand management, or marketing analytics. So those are kind of three different paths that you can take, or you can take a mix of them. So it just depends on what you're wanting to do as far as your career path. All right. The last of the big five is going to be a master's in accounting, which typically leads to the big four. Anyway, so the master's in accounting is definitely an in-depth jump into the accounting principles, auditing, financial reporting. The schools that you're looking at: Macombs, Wharton, Notre Dame, Leventhal, UIC. University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, which is UIUC. So you'll notice some new names kind of coming into this list. And again, each school has their own specialty. And so you'll see that this shifts a little bit and some new names kind of come out for accounting. So definitely look into the schools that are ranked by their specialization as well. Average GMAT score, even though it's a 650 to 700 on the old GMAT, it is a highly quantitative background. So they're not only going to be looking at your GMAT score, but they're also going to be looking at your grades from your accounting courses for undergrad. There are going to be some prerequisites there to be able to move into the accounting program, whether those are classes that you got in undergrad or that you had to seek a community college or post-grad. So there are some different parameters for a master's in accounting. I actually used to recruit for that. It's like close to my heart. And so there's also some different variations of this. There's a master's in tax. There's a master's in accounting with data analytics emphasis. So again, a lot of different options if you want to go this route. The average salary, 60 to 90,000, doesn't seem like very much to start with, but generally you're going to spend 1 year at an accounting firm and then you're going to either stay or going to go. And when you stay, the money becomes more. If you go, you can ask for more money at that next place. And so while it might be a little bit lower when you first graduate, it'll be much higher as you continue to proceed. All right, so you can become a public accountant, an auditor, tax specialist, corporate accountant, financial analyst. And again, this could be this low-level start of a finance career where you start with this specialization because maybe that's what you followed in your undergrad and you just want to finish and cap that off with maybe your CPA or ACA, whatever that might be, and then be able to take that trajectory. So that's an option. So again, a lot of people are hired by the Big Four going into Deloitte, EY, KPMG, or PwC. Then you can also do corporate accounting or government agencies. You could do some really fun forensic accounting, which is really interesting as well. One of my students got a job with the FBI doing forensic accounting. So cool. Anyways, so again, master's in accounting can lead to these certifications as well. All right, so we finished out the big five I wanted to cover today. But I know that these, and I know it says SPMs, it's SMPs, that these specialized masters, the ones that I talked about aren't for everyone. And you're like, oh man, like this isn't exactly what I want. So there are other ones out there. So supply chain, information management, entrepreneurship, real estate, human resources is a big one I hear a lot of people request. You can also go into health administration, project management, sports management is another one, hospitality. So there are so many different specialized masters. Just because you're not looking for one of these big five doesn't mean that there isn't something out there for you. Another option would be, hey, I know that I want to get an MBA later. So at around the same stage, this is why I'm kind of mentioning this. If you're graduating, you can apply for a deferred MBA and get admitted and start the MBA in 2 to 4 years from when you get accepted. So that's another option for business education, kind of when you're at the beginning part of your career. So if that's something you're interested in, look into the deferred MBA programs. Okay, we went pretty fast. What questions do we have today? Anushka, I'm here, so let me know what your question was. I think it's maybe about the impact sector. So with that being said, like if you're really interested in social impact, then you can have a career based in any of these functions that go into the social impact arena. If you're thinking of what master's degree would serve you best, depending on your undergraduate degree, a master's in management might be the first one, or the first choice, but it just depends, right, on what it is. So again, I'm Jen T with ARINGO, and we are an MBA admissions consulting firm, and we help clients day in, day out for the past 20 years, really, with their applications to top programs, business schools, master's degrees, graduate school. We do it all. And so actually even helping with the talent visa, special talent visa or exceptional talent visa for UK. We've done a lot of really great things to kind of help people with shining and showing people who they are, what their story is, and how they're a great fit for whatever it might be that they're wanting to do next. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know. My email address is here. I also do free profile evaluations for my friends at GMAT Club. So if you're interested, you can use this link here. I know that it's in the chat as well. So, if you want to meet up, that's my link. Beyond that, let's see if there's any other questions. I'm going to take a sip of water. You guys, while I do this, maybe you could give us a thumbs up, share the video, like it, subscribe to the channel. All right. So just a few more minutes. While we're chatting here, I'll just say that there's a lot of fairs that you can go to. GMAT Club does an MBA Spotlight. Some of the other places out there, they do specialized masters fairs as well. So you could meet these schools while they're on the road and get to know more about them and their personality. Although it's 9 to 12 months, it is a long time to spend your day and night for a year, and so wanting to make sure that it's a good fit for you. So I highly recommend, if you can, go to a fair or event that they're sponsoring, and if you can't go in person, then try to go to the web version, webinars or fairs that they offer as well, to get to know them a little bit better. And no matter what, schools can definitely post their statistics, their jobs, that kind of thing, but I would highly recommend connecting with a student. A current student can tell you what's going on right now. You can check the temperature, and they might be like, hey, like, Google stopped recruiting on campus for the rest of the season across, everywhere, or whatever. Or this consulting firm, they've stopped their hiring for the season, or whatever. They can give you these insights that you might not know about job trends that none of us will know for the next 3 to 6 months whenever they graduate. And so, get that insight from them, find out what's happening in person, to really know, hey, is this the right place for me? Is this what I want to do? Is this going to get me where I want to be? And so you can kind of get that insight from somebody. Other than that, I really enjoyed speaking with you guys today. If you have any questions, I'm here to help. Beyond that, I hope that you have a great rest of your day, and we will see you back here soon.